Hey everyone and welcome to the Paths in Life. Today we're going to learn 7 habits that are killing your motivation. Now let's begin. Number 1. Stop multitasking. Multitasking. Is it possible to do work and take care of other obligations at the same time? Yes, but it's counterproductive, and it harms your physical and mental health in what you're doing. Multitasking impairs cognitive processes. Whatever you are multitasking, it puts so much pressure and stress on our brains that it can potentially damage neural connections. Regular multitasking wears off our body and mind, ultimately leading to chronic stress, anxiety, or even depression. Regular multitasking can take a chronic form, causing permanent damage to our nervous system. Multitasking can lead to severe postpartum and depression. Now you are asking, how can you deal with this habit? It is simple. The rules are: eliminating as many distractions as possible, especially your smartphone. Creating an atmosphere that nourishes productive work. Whenever you are following a list of tasks one by one, it is essential to create a list that's realistic to avoid procrastination. Another deadly habit: employing concentration techniques, such as mindful meditation, to concentrate on one step at a time. Tip: multitasking is very common among aspiring freelancers, mostly because they don't know how to manage their time. So, learning about time management will help you plan your workday more effectively and avoid multitasking. Number 2. Never let yourself get distracted. Distraction comes in many forms, but there are 3 kinds of distractions that are particularly destructive to your motivation. The first is the entertaining distraction, when you take a quick break from work and decided to play video games with your friends online, and the game is so entertaining to you and your friends, and spend so much time playing, you decided to stop playing games with your friends online just to browse Facebook, and you end up clicking a trail of humorous articles. Before you know it, you're half an hour into reading, and you have no desire to get back to work anytime soon. The second type is the work distraction, and it often comes as a result of having too many tasks on what you're doing. You shift rapidly from priority to priority without fully accomplishing any one of your goals. The third type, on a related note, is a communication distraction. You constantly lose focus on your work because you're interrupted by phone calls, emails, and instant messages demanding more of your attention. The solution to all of these types of distractions is isolation. If you're interested in preserving or building your motivation for a short period of time, cut yourself off from everything. Disconnect your computer from the internet, turn your phone off, and don't let anything draw you away from your primary focus. You'll find yourself far more inspired to keep on working. Number 3. Never ever be afraid to say no to anyone. It's also easy to feel demotivated when you don't feel in control of a situation, and you don't feel like to stand up for yourself, when you don't feel like saying how you truly feel. This usually comes down to a problem with saying no. For example, if don't feel like to work because you feel overwhelmed and your boss drops by to leave another massive assignment for you, you might be afraid to speak up and let him or her know that you're overwhelmed at the moment. Instead, you take on the additional work and mutter to yourself about how busy you are. Alternatively, you could be uncomfortable with performing a specific assignment, but afraid to voice your opinion. You could also be pressured into staying late or working weekends when you don't feel it's appropriate. In any case, saying no from time to time can be valuable in preserving your sense of control in the workplace. You don't have to start rejecting work at every opportunity, but you do have to let your concerns be known and remain unintimidated about expressing your professional needs, and never say no to anyone on what bordering you, because if you always pleasing people without pleasing yourself, you will never feel like a successful, motivated person. And if you always saying yes all the time, and you are not in a mood to do anything because you feel so intimidated to stand up for yourself, then you will feel so demotivated, which is a bad habit that can destroy your motivation. Number 4. You don't believe you can do anything. One of the most common ways people sabotage their own motivation is with a simple belief they have about the idea that they can't do what successful people can do. It might be an assignment outside your skill set on what it is, or a project with an unreasonable deadline, or a task you don't fully understand what it's all about. If you believe that you can't do something, it's hard to get motivated to do it. In fact, negative thinking and pessimism are proven to be tangibly destructive. If you don't believe you can do something, you actually become less capable of doing it. To prevent or remedy the effects of this, change your line of thinking. Instead of dwelling on all the reasons why you can't do something, start thinking about all the reasons why you can. Look for support from your coworkers if you have to. Just find a reason to convince yourself that you can do what you feel that is hard or difficult for you, and try your best to understand what it's all about, and take action to solve the problem on what that bordering you on what you don't believe in, what you cannot do. Number 5, never let your emotions get in the way. We've all had bad days get in the way when we are working. You wake up feeling exhausted, or you're depressed and you don't know why, or you're angry about something going on in your personal life or mind, and it prevents you from focusing fully on work. Unfortunately, most of these emotions can't be helped, but they can be managed and set aside. Try to separate the source of your emotions from your work environment as much as possible, both physically and mentally, on the way you find appropriate, healthy releases for those negative emotions when you are having a bad mood, and don't be afraid to rely on a support system to help you through those difficult times. A little perspective can go a long way on how you're feeling when you are at your workplace or working on something that is really big and successful for you. Number 6, you are trying too hard on yourself at work. Some people take the blunt approach to productivity. They take on as much work as they can, and then work as hard and fast as they can for as long as they can, plugging through breaks and working their fingers to the bone. While at first glance, these types of people seem more productive in what they are doing, at this approach, you can actually ruin your motivation. When you work at this pace, you're highly likely to burn out in a matter of weeks, if not days or years. Instead, make sure you have a healthy balance with your work. Don't be afraid to take breaks in necessary time to decompress. Even though you'll be spending a few minutes away from the grindstone, you'll have a much better perspective on your work, and you'll feel better doing it. Don't commit motivation suicide. All it takes is one bad behavior or destructive habit to creep up on you, break your momentum, and leave you unmotivated for the rest of the day. Work on eliminating these habits from your routine, and keep your focus on the practices that actively inspire you to work better without pressuring yourself every day while working so hard, and in that way, you will not destroy your routines or productive schedule over the way you are working. Number 7, waiting for the right moments for motivation to start. If your emotions and environment are negative motivation toward success, it will not work, but it will drag you down. Hence, ensure that your emotions and environment are positive to increase motivation, or positive emotions and environment. And also, motivation works in both ways. Motivation is good for taking action at everything, and also action is good for motivation in what you are doing. When you get a good result in your work at what you are doing, you get motivated to do more and more. If you have a routine of morning walk, you must have experienced how motivation works. Sometimes in the morning, you feel like you are not in a mood for the morning walk, but after a few minutes, you thought to walk a small distance, and you come back. Once you started, your mood change, and you get self-motivated to complete the full round all by yourself. From this, you found that taking action is motivating. Waiting around for motivation to strike is a waste of your precious time, and sometimes that can bring you down. So, don't wait for motivation to start. Take action by starting as early as possible. Your emotions will get in tune with your actions, and you will get the motivation to achieve success with your goals. Hey, thank you for watching The Paths in Life. Be sure to subscribe for more life topics on The Paths in Life.